So looking at this market, we're trying to assess whether there's a appropriate entry point in this particular market. And you can see from the charts the price has come all the way down, and you can see where we have ended up in the market. There's a lot of volume being matched at around this level in the market. So you have to ask yourself the obvious question here, which is it going to continue? Or is it going to be bounce? Or is it going to be bouncing? Is it going to bounce? You'll often find that you look at the market and it's, it can't go in a straight line forever. It's just not going to happen. And you can see maybe there's a hint that it's not going to continue at the bottom of the chart at or around 2s by coincidence. So this could be quite useful if we get in there. So if we loiter around 2s, we can see what's happening to the volume at or around this level, and then perhaps get involved somewhere around here. So currently weighing up. You can see the money's evaporating from 202, so we'll pop an order in there. We'll establish our position at or around this point. And from this point onwards, we need to understand if we're going to get the move that we require. So I'll put a couple of orders up there that can be our exit orders if we reach that level within the market, and then we just have to sit and see if we can get to this point. If we look at the second favourite here, you can see that that is receiving some support, so that's helpful to our overall position. And you can see it's coming back down towards this level, so our position's somewhat under threat here. But you would tend to have in your mind an area which you'd want to get out, and the most obvious place here would be if it crashes through and reaches new lows, then we'd probably want to be concerned about that. But if it doesn't do that, then we're reasonably comfortable with our position. We've no idea where it's going to end up. We're just sort of saying, well, nobody's willing to back it lower than this level, so we'll just wait for a bounce and see if we can get out on the other side. So we've pitched our closing order here at 214, and with a bit of luck we will get hit at 214, and we're looking again at the second favourite, seeing what's going on there, see if that's continuing to receive support, which it is to an extent. We could do without receiving a little bit more, and if that continues to get backed, that's going to help the favourite here, and we're not far away from getting that first order filled. Here we go, and we can see that that's been taken out, so we're in a much better position now. We don't have to worry too much about what happens next. It's just a question of whether we're going to get this price hit at 224. Still a little bit of activity around this level. Slowly creeping up. But typically you'll have half your eye on the amount of time that is left, because that can force an exit as well. So, that there isn't a great deal that we could do here. We're making the judgment that that is going to drift a bit. If the second favourite starts to really head much lower towards 3, then that would be immensely useful. But other than that, it's really just a question at this moment in time as to whether we're going to get our full stake. Because we're getting closer and closer to the off, I'm just going to split that closing position and instantly change my mind. It just felt, yeah, there we go. It just felt like that was just going to see a little bit of momentum upwards there. And again, our position slightly better, but we're just going to have to slowly drive, and then you can see it's just pulling back slightly. Pullback's quite normal. Again, you see the second figure hasn't really gone in. That's being held up at 320, 325. Not much activity on the third, but you can see the fourth has moved in a little bit more as well. So we're on an okay trade here, but we're just not really seeing huge amounts of momentum, so I'm going to take the opportunity to get a clean exit on this. And we can close our position there, and we've ended up with about 60 odd, £66 or so. So that isn't exactly a disaster. Maybe we could have perhaps got a little bit more out of it if we would have gone higher, but we're not particularly fussed with that. We're quite happy with the position that we've got here. It was relatively low risk. We entered at a half decent price within the market. We could see that it had reached a floor at that particular level, and then as the price began to push up, we took advantage of that. You can see it's actually coming back a little bit now because the second favourite's on the drift. So it may actually be headed all the way back down to 2s again. So there's the value there of not being too greedy on any particular trade.
We can see by that trade, members, that the important thing was what he said at the end. So he said the trade might, he's out of the trade at that stage, but the price might even be heading back. So Why I have posted this one is to show you, if you try to do a few trades like this, it's actually a good idea because it's teaching you how to read the market. And if you can become a good market reader, then you can shop well for all the bets that we're trying to put on. So simply studying these graphs and sitting down for an hour or even a couple of hours at night and watching the ladders move and looking at the volume levels, etc. How much is on the backside, how much is on the lay side. You might notice at the top of the screen there's actually an arrow up or down, which will tell you whether the price is expected to go out or in, and that's just judging the sheer weight of money on either side. So ultimately, you need to know this stuff. This is not, maybe you should know it. If you don't know this stuff, you are going backwards and you'll be out of the game in a couple of years, because this is where it's all heading and it's the way to go. And apart from that, teaches you to back and lay, get out of positions, get into positions, trade positions, hedge yourself, so it's all good stuff.